Well, today is the final installment of the Wednesday Night War. As you know, I had a great run reviewing both shows on the same time, reviewing two incredible promotions. As you know, I've been an NXT fan for quite some time, AEW around the same time. It was fun while it lasted, but however, times are changing, and that's how it's meant to be. As you know, NXT is moving to Tuesday nights, which is probably for the best because we know that they have been struggling to get the viewership and the ratings while competing against AEW. Now, some of you can say at this point, AEW won the war because of their countless wins, but the real question for this one, who actually won the final battle between AEW and NXT? So, let's review, discuss, and talk about it on this episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted WrestleZone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I'm your host, J-Rod here. Now, before I begin reviewing AEW, Dynamite, and NXT, but I'm going to say this right now, I will review and reveal the ratings on the at last, and also give you my final thoughts on the same time, because I feel since this is the last one, we ought just go for it. You know, that's the way I want to end this Wednesday Night War segment that I've been doing since October of 2019. I wish Nico was here with me to discuss about it, talk about what's the future going to be like now that these two companies will not be competing head to head every Wednesday. But I will talk about that in my final thoughts as well. But foremost, I have to say, let's just review from what happened this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. Okie dokie. AEW Dynamite started out with the first match, Hangman Page taking on the acclaimed Max Caster. As you know, Max Caster has took out members of the Dark Order, friends of Hangman Page. Before this particular night, he started this track about him and all this and that. Now, you would have assumed there is no way Max Caster could beat Hangman Page. Well, every trick that Max Caster and Anthony Bowen put out did not work. The boombox didn't work, the chain didn't work, but however, Hangman was able to put the victory on himself when he applied the buckshot lariat against Max Caster and winning himself. Now, keep in mind, this match was a very important one because it was revealed that Hangman Page is in fact the number one ranking in the ranks. Basically, we could see him face his former tag team partner and former member of the Elite, Kenny Omega, down the line. So this is going to be a very interesting thing. Max Caster also made the list, but however, he may go down since losing to Page. So, that's pretty much it for that match. Hangman wins. He goes to the top. Now, as you know, we've already been aware that Death Triangle, Pac and Rey Fenix are in line for an AEW Dynamite Tag Team title shot. It's been revealed now that they will be facing the Young Bucks next week. But however, it appears they have some there's certain people that have some unfinished business. I'm talking about the best friends. Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Trent, and of course, the newest best friend and the resident alien, Chris Statlander. Now, these guys haven't forgotten. Mostly, all three guys haven't forgotten what Death Triangle put them through. So basically, now they got Miro and the whole thing out of the way. They can now focus more on these guys. But however, I don't think they're going to jump in interfering the AEW title shot. They're just going to wait. So if Death Triangle wins it, then they'll be the ones to take the shot. So that's how I like the story, how they played out on that. Now, a lot of fans out there recently have called AEW a bunch of bullshitters. Because, as you know, we've seen a lot of good celebrities over the years. This particular celebrity has been announced countless times. People were saying it's a load of crap, he's not going to be there. Well, guess what? For all you guys who called it bullshit, you were mistaken. He was there. I didn't expect that. But I have to say it is a pretty good thing to see because, frankly, I did not expect it whatsoever. But, yeah. Now, speaking of Mike Tyson, his foe that he confronted, I think it was last year, the Inner Circle are now back. Ready to take the world by storm once again, but this time they are turning into a new leaf. They felt like their last 6 months of decision making was a mistake, and they are ready to redeem themselves for what happened. If you guys know what I'm talking about MJF and his new faction, the Pinnacle. As you know, MJF was been aligned with Jericho for a couple months, ever since for 6 months, and now we are seeing that this could be, how do I say, a beginning of a war. Now, Jericho made a fantastic promo. I love what he talked about. Dissing every member of the Pinnacle. I mean, MJF, Wardlow, Spears, everyone. But however, this thing was sort of predicted by some fans and various wrestling news outlets that there was a possibility that we may get to see the match that we were supposed to see last year. I'm talking about Bloods and Guts. So it's now official. On what was it? It's gonna be on May 5th. Blood and Guts. Now this was a match that we were supposed to see, the Inner Circle against the Elite, but it did not happen. It just went to the Stadium Stampede, which was a good match. Funny, but yeah. So I can't wait to see this go. Now, this next interview was now being conducted with Dasha talking to Christian Cage. As you know, Christian Cage had a very decent but well received match last week against Frankie Kazarian. Now, of course, many people say, what's his next move? Now, some of you probably would say he's going to go to the top to face Kenny Omega for the AEW World title. I mean, yeah, that could be the possibility. But however, he was interrupted by someone from his past. I'm talking about Taz. Taz gave him the invitation to join Team Taz to help him elevate not only himself, but Team Taz as well. Now, Christian didn't know what to say. Now, I know Christian has been in factions before in the past, but I'm not sure if this is like a faction he would go in, but we just gotta wait and see. So Taz told him to think about it, give it some time. So Taz feels confident that he would take his side. Now keep in mind, this isn't the first time something like this has happened with Taz. As you know, Darby Allin rejected him not once but twice, and Taz took offense to it. Now if I was Christian, I would think clearly what you're about to do. If you know for a fact that Taz will not take no for an answer, then you're going to have a war with Team Taz for who knows how long. Now, this next match is called Godzilla vs. Kong. As you know, we got the Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus taking on Bear Country, Boulder, and Bronson. This was a great match to watch because I was enjoying. Now, here's the factors that were played out in this particular match. Let's look at Jurassic Express. You got Luchasaurus, who's a big, huge dude. Very athletic, very great with the kicks. He knows how to do backflips. And of course, there's Jungle Boy, very fast paced, very a decent high flyer. That is pretty much what makes them unique. Now you look at Bear Country; they are a powerhouse team. You know, they're big, they're strong. You know, that's one of the things. Now you could say Bear Country could look at it, but however, who actually won? I have to say there were some great moments in this match, but I like how they were able to, how Jurassic Express were able to win the match by defeating Bear Country. You wouldn't expect Bear Country to lose because, you know, people are getting into them because of their uniqueness. You know, me, I love their gimmick and all that. But Luchasaurus was the one who did the chokeslam and the backflip, and it was over, so it's Godzilla who won. Now, as you know, recently what happened last week, we saw a string of betrayals. Members of the Nightmare family turned on Cody, attacked him, but this time we got QT Marshall along with Nick Comoroto, Aaron Solo, and Anthony Ogogo turning on Cody. This time, QT is taking back his training center, the Nightmare Factory, calling it the Factory Training. But this time, he's calling his own faction, kind of like a splinter group called the Factory. So, I know some people are critical about factions being formed because AEW is taking the ideas from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I know a lot of people say it's a good thing, others are saying it's a bad thing, others are like in the middle, they don't know what to make of it. To me, I like the factions. I've always been a fan of those types, you know, because it kind of shows who is the dominant faction in the promotion. But we'll see what they're going to go with this one. Now, as you know, recently, Sting, whenever he does interviews with Tony Schiavone, he gets brutally interrupted by Lance Archer and Jake Roberts. Now, Archer's been feeling like being left out. He's been crashing in Sting's time. But something generally happened when this Sting wanted him to pay attention clearly. He told him, I agree with you. I agree that you disappeared. What happened? And he looks at Jake Roberts like, what's the matter with you, Jake? What have you been doing? So he's like telling him, make him the guy, a main event guy. And he says, you got potential to be a main eventer. So basically, it's kind of like it's saying, okay, Sting sees a lot of great potential in him. But why isn't Jake Roberts focusing on that? And I just said this, what was it, last night with my closest friend. I told him, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Roberts does not take Lance Archer to the top. I wouldn't be surprised that Lance Archer would jump ship and join Sting. Because it would make sense. Because here's the thing. All of you guys have talked about how Sting's not being utilized, not a wrestler. I mean, Sting said that he wouldn't mind being like a coach or a mentor or doing things like this. You saw how motivated Sting can be. Not to mention, he let Darby Allin decide what he wants to do with Team Taz. So, I would love to see Archer ditch Roberts and go with Sting. And if he joins Sting's, he would definitely be elevated to the top. Even so, he would go become an AEW World Champion. That's how I would see it. Now, as you know, Team Taz, they're kind of not sure yet what's going on. As you know, there's been a bit of discussion between both Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. Basically, we don't know how this whole thing will implode. I know there have some disagreements between the two, but however, Taz is being naive. He's saying that everything's fine, but he also is more trying to stay positive that Christian Cage will side with him. Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see when we get there. Now, later we just see Jericho doing an interview with Alex Marvez. He was about to talk. All of a sudden, all the members of the Pinnacle were in fact attacking Jericho, trying to take him out. But the real question is, where the hell was the Inner Circle? It just revealed that they were locked up in their own locker room by the Pinnacle. But out of nowhere, here comes Mike Tyson, saves Jericho. And he kind of like was giving these punches to Spears. They even try to pull him out. And here comes the rest of the Inner Circle. Now, this gets me thinking of two possible things. That Tyson will join Inner Circle in the Blood and Guts match. But however, what makes us so certain that he would turn his back on him? Remember, this isn't the first time Mike Tyson joined some group and then or some top star and he stabbed him in the back. We've seen that with Shawn Michaels. We've seen that with Jericho. But we'll see how this is going to go down. I know people are talking about it, like don't know what to make of it. I'll just say we'll just see how they're going to run with it. I know there's a little critical talk about it, but that's how it is. Now, this next match is the TNT Championship for an open challenge. JD Drake answered the challenge, and Darby Allin was there. Sting was there too. But however, of course, JD Drake had backup. He had the Hollywood Hunk, Ryan Menneth, and of course, Cesar Bononi. But when Sting saw that they got in the way, Sting took matters in his own hands. He whacked Cesar Bononi in the leg, taking him out completely. But however, Menneth saw Sting, and he chased him away. Now, the rest of the match was great. I would have assumed in the back of my mind that Matt Hardy was going to come out and try to have him lose the title. But no, it did not happen in that fashion. It was a great match. You saw how JD Drake was doing whatever it takes to win the match. But it ended up with a coffin drop by Darby Allin to win the match. However, in post-match, the Hardy family office attacked Darby Allin. The Bunny was screaming at the commentators to get out of the way. They're going to use the commentary table to put Darby Allin through a table. But however, here comes Sting with the Dark Order. As you know, the Dark Order has some unfinished business with Hardy and the family and the HFO. But however, while they left, Bunny was still screaming and yelling at the commentators to get out of the way, not realizing she's alone and she had to confront the Bunny. I thought it was great. I loved it. It was so funny. Now, before we jump into that match that's coming up, we have a little special announcement that came out from Britt Baker. As you know, people talked about what a great match the Unsanctioned was. But however, Britt Baker feels she should be going for a title shot. I know the Squared Circle Psychobabble talked about this, that she should. But she also put out an interesting point. She believes that the rankings is a load of crap. She wants to prove it. She wants to get rid of it. Because she believes that she is the top star and she deserves to be in the rankings. Now, keep in mind, Tay Conti is currently ranked number 1. So she does have a title shot against Hikaru Shida. Now, let's jump into the women's match between the Bunny and Tay Conti. This was a very good match because you see the Bunny. As you know, Hardy has said that the Bunny not involved in the in the women's eliminator tournament was a sham, that she was not involved. So who knows if Hardy would agree with Britt Baker? That's one of my thoughts that comes in mind. So the match was good. I mean, you can see how Tay Conti was kicking butt. But however, the Bunny sucker punched Hikaru Shida, who was right there watching over Tay Conti. But however, there was a brawl that broke out between the Dark Order and the Hardy family office. And of course, the Bunny tried to use the kendo stick, but Shida was able to remove it, allowing for Tay Conti to put away the Bunny, allowing her to win the match. So it looks like we may see Tay Conti and Hikaru Shida face off for the title. Now that's a match I gotta see. Now, the main event, we have Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers taking on the Young Bucks and Jon Moxley. The match was good, but however, I like the story how this went in. That Matt Jackson is conflicted with the fact that he doesn't want to hurt Kenny, but somehow Don Callis got into his head, you know, and all this and that. But there was a moment they couldn't do the BTE trigger. They couldn't pull the trigger. Even Moxley was trying to tell him, just do it. But Moxley tagged himself in. He applied the paradigm shifts on various occasions. All of a sudden, the Bucks super kicked Moxley, allowing Kenny and the Good Brothers to win the match. However, Kingston comes out to help out Moxley, but it was too much. I mean, as you know, he got hurt not too long ago. So it looks like the Bucks side with Kenny once again. But however, they refuse to do the too sweet sign. So don't know what is going to happen. I know some people are putting negative comments on their Twitter page. But we'll see what happens. Because now we're seeing the Elite, they're taking over. So that's pretty much it, what happened. So let's move on to NXT. Alright, so we got NXT. We have 4 title matches, and of course, 3 title matches, a number 1 contenders match, and a grudge match. So let's begin with the first match, which is the grudge match between Pete Dunne and Kushida. Now, this match happened before the Gauntlet match that took place a week ago, where Kushida talked about himself, saying that he is the best submission wrestler ever. But however, Pete Dunne had heard that that's a load of baloney. He says you're mistaken. So this became a battle of who is the best submissionist, and that kind of played out a pretty good story. But however, I kind of figured it was going to end up with Pete Dunne. I mean, Pete Dunne is one of the best submissions. He does some crazy unorthodox ways to break you in half, that sort of thing. But it was a good one, not going to lie. But in the end, it came out to Pete Dunne's favor. Now, the next match is the number 1 contendership gauntlet match for the NXT North American Championship. So this is who they brought in. The last 6 wrestlers that participated in the gauntlet match that took place last week. We got Leon Ruff, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis, and LA Knight. Now, this was a pretty good, interesting 6 people to be involved. Now, however, from what I was thinking in the back of my head, the LA Knight was going to win it to make a name for himself. But however, it did not go exactly like that. It started out with Leon Ruff coming out, beating up, and of course Scott Swerve was right behind him. As you know, Swerve still has his issues towards Leon Ruff because he's getting opportunities, and that kind of bothered him. But of course, while they're dealing with this feud that they have, here comes Bronson Reed, a great start in the making. I know that many fans love the guy. He's called the Colossus. I mean, I love the guy. He's great. And then here comes Cameron Grimes, who tried to bribe his way out, as always. And of course, we got Dex Lumis and Knight. But the way this whole thing transpired later, it was Leon who got eliminated, then Dexter Lumis, but he got eliminated by LA Knight, and LA Knight got himself eliminated. But Dexter Lumis applied the silencer on him. We may see a feud between both Dexter Lumis and LA Knight somewhere down the line. But however, the match was remaining part of the match between Cameron Grimes, Swerve, and Bronson Reed was great. It kind of showed, okay, who wants it more? Now, Grimes says money is everything. Isaiah Scott wants to prove that he earns an opportunity. But Bronson Reed is the guy who does all the work to get to the top. That's what I like about it. 3 different individuals with how they want to go to the top. But, of course, Cameron Grimes was eliminated. Then, of course, finally, Bronson Reed was the one who won the match. So he gets the title shot, but as soon as he realizes that he won, here comes Gargano, who knows this huge dude is coming for his title. And that's going to be on night 2. Next match, this one I have to say is one of my 2 favorite ones of the night. Is the NXT UK Championship between Tommaso Ciampa and the champ Walter. Now this was a great match because it told a story how Walter criticized Ciampa, saying how soft he is, how him being a family man softened him up, because he knows his reputation. Who remembers 2018 Tommaso Ciampa, or was it 2019? So he wanted to see that. So basically, Tommaso Ciampa channeled that Tommaso Ciampa that we remembered. And now you gotta ask yourself, did Walter saw that? Did he realize, okay, I was wrong? He did not soften up. Even Wade Barrett said he did, but now witnessing what he saw, he did not. Not only that, the the craziest moment, Walter whacked his hand, tried to hurt Ciampa, but he hurt himself on a commentary table. And much of the time, he was in pain. He couldn't apply certain submission moves at all. He was doing this like it's hurting. Even if he punched something or whacked something or chopped, it hurts. It was more like he's trying to prove that this is where he belongs. Like, he's not going to give up that easily. But it was a great match. I'm not going to lie about that. I enjoyed every minute of it. And however, it was Walter that won the match, retaining the United Kingdom Championship. But the real question is, does Walter respect now Ciampa, that he is not the guy that he thought he was? Because if I were you, Walter, I would think twice about that. Now, recently we've been seeing this dog running around everywhere. Then we saw this person named Frankie, and it says that full name is Frankie Monet. It's coming on April 13th, which is the first day of NXT being on a Tuesday. Now, some of you don't know who she is, but there is the chance that it could be Taya Valkyrie. Now, numerous reports came in about her saying that there's most likely that she could change her name. Now, some of you are probably questioning why. Why did they need to change her name? I mean, look, we already had that with Damian Priest. He was known as Punishment Martinez, and a few other wrestlers had her change their names because of that. But that's how WWE rolls. But I hope he still has that same attitude that we remember, you know, being la huela loca, or they're not gonna throw it, but throw something what she was back then. That's something I'm looking forward to see. Now, during an interview, Bronson Reed is happy that he is now getting an opportunity of the North American Championship on day 2. However, Gargano thinks that there's no way he's gonna win, that he is the man who has been in many takeovers, that's what makes him Johnny Takeover. But however, does Johnny have what it takes to retain the title against a huge dude like him? But we'll see what happens in night 2. The next match, it's for the vacant NXT tag team titles. Now, as you know, Danny Burch got hurt in a tag team match with Karrion Kross and Finn Balor. The titles had to be vacant because of the injury. It gave the opportunity for NXT to decide who should be crowned. The 3 teams that they chosen was MSK, Legado del Fantasmas, Joaquin Wilde, and Raul Mendoza, and of course, Grizzled Young Veterans. Now, you got MSK, the winners of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. You got Legado del Fantasma, Joaquin Wild, and Mendoza, who believe that now that they got the cruiserweight, it's their time to shine, to take over NXT. And then you got the grizzled young veterans who want to be recognized as the best tag team ever. As you know, they are the first ever NXT UK tag team champions. So that match was unbelievable, but it played a little bit of psychology in this one. As you know, Nash Carter hurt his hand, courtesy of grizzled young veterans. But there were times where you thought grizzled young veterans could have it, but no, they either MSK stopped it or it was Legado. However it turns out. But what I did like how it went back to it began. As you know, each team took out a member of Legado. Grizzled Young Veterans took out Drake Gibson, and MSK took out the other. And it became the shades of the Dusty Classic, where we saw MSK and Grizzled Young Veterans in the finals, and it was a great match to end. I like how it went in that way, but I did not expect how it was going to win. It was MSK who won the match, becoming new tag team champions. I'm very happy for those guys. I know I saw recently all over Twitter that some of their friends and other promotions that they've ever been, they're proud of them winning the NXT tag team titles. So, live it up, guys. And I know that Wesley has dedicated the match to his dad, who's been a wrestling fan since he was a kid. It's a great moment for them. Now we get to the main event. This is for the NXT Women's Championship between Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai. Now keep in mind, Io Shirai chose her to be her next challenge, but there were people in story-wise how they're saying, did she bit off more than she can chew? Because Io refused to stay down, but it was a great match. Now you can tell Io could have had the much bigger advantage, but however, Raquel Gonzalez is now being recognized as the baddest bitch ever, which is true. But however, was it enough to defeat Io Shirai? The answer to that, she chokeslammed her down and allowing herself to win the match. I have to say it's a real great moment, because now we're seeing Raquel Gonzalez getting a bigger push. Even if you guys know this, Raquel Gonzalez, she's Mexican descent. A lot of the Hispanic culture Hispanic culture in wrestling are proud of her, that she accomplished something. I know many fans would say that too, because I've seen it. We got guys like Rey Mysterio, Escobar, and a few others. But I have to say it was a really good match. It gave the elevation for Raquel Gonzalez. But however, I know some of you talked about this. Could this be a chance that Io could be moved up to the main roster? I don't know. But I'll talk about that in my final thoughts. But first, we're going to combine both my final thoughts and, of course, the views and ratings in one single part. And let's do that right now. Okay, the moment has been waiting for. As you know, I talked about AEW have won countless times. But the real question remained, who won this week's Wednesday Night War? Let's talk about it. The winner of the viewership, it's NXT. They gained about 768,000 views. From last week, they only had 654,000, which is a great thing to watch. Now, AEW, on the other hand, they went from a 700,000 views to 688,000. Now, I kind of predicted this was going to happen sooner or later. I figured that because NXT Takeover was on a Wednesday, it was going to be the one show that's going to be at the top. I kind of saw the whole thing coming. But however, the 18 to 49 demographic rating is a different story. The winner for that is once again AEW. They have a .28 compared from last week, which is a .26. NXT has a .22 compared from last week, a .21. Now, this is why I say this. AEW completely won the war, but however, it was NXT who won the final battle. So basically, we can say NXT won the last Wednesday Night War, but however, the last battle of the Wednesday Night War, but however, it's AEW who took the victory on this one. We can say it's finally over, but let's talk about my final thoughts. Now, who had the better show? To be honest with you, right now, I have to say both shows have done great. The two best matches for me in NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver was the Tommaso Ciampa and Walter match. It was the best because it told the story. Walter is still the dominant guy, but however, Ciampa went back to the Ciampa that we all remember from 2018 or 2019, whatever two came out. But however, the women's match was great too because it was also fantastic because we're seeing Raquel Gonzalez having a much bigger push. But the real question now, as you know, when there's women like Dakota Kai and Raquel, they're tight as ever. At some point, we may see that dissolve. Why do I say that? A, Dakota Kai have tried to win that title many times, but have no luck. What happens if Dakota Kai decides to stab her in the back? I mean, that is the possibility. Or Raquel Gonzalez push her to the side saying, I don't need you. That sort of thing. Anything is possible next week. But keep in mind, Io Shirai does have a rematch clause she can cash in. Now, which is the best matches in AEW? I have to say, the TNT title was kind of interesting because you saw no story build up, but it was a great match to see how Darby Allin is being a champion, like dedicating all his matches as a TNT champion to the greatest TNT champion of all time. We're talking about the late great Brody Lee, and that's always been one of the things that I like. But I did like the storyline with the match with Kenny Omega and the Bucks, the Elite now together. But however, the real question remains what's going to happen now. Now, as you know, we could see this type of faction where they can make their own rules and all this and that. That is one of the things I do like because it kind of gave a better ending to show, okay, the Bucks still in line with Kenny Omega, and they're determined to rule the entire AEW. But the real question is, who will be the ones to stand up against them? But that's how it is. Now, because now we know that the NXT is moving Tuesday nights, what does the future hold for both teams? Now, I do know for a fact is this. NXT has completely now, how do I say, are getting better in their storylines. That is something we have witnessed. I've said countless times, and others have said, AEW had the better storylines, but NXT had the better matches. And that's not like an opinion, it's a fact. I have witnessed it when I review all these shows, and that's how it works. Some storylines suck from NXT, some of the matches were terrible from AEW. That's how it is, but that's how it happens. But rest assured, somehow AEW has to step up their game, try to develop more, make the product more stand out. Now they're no longer in competition with AEW. I mean, AEW stepping up their game, and so is NXT. That is one of the things we have to pay attention. So I think that's pretty much it for that. And my final thoughts. But however, friendly remind you, don't forget we got day 2 of the NXT Takeover Stand and Deliver. We got this weekend's WrestleMania. I'm gonna review those shows soon enough. I'm probably may do that on a Sunday once I review both of them. Now, keep in mind, I also want to put out 2 announcements, review relating to wrestling, starting today, which is Thursday, and hopefully by the time I upload it, you guys know this or not. Excuse me. I'm not sick. It's just a late coughing. Okay. GCW just put out their latest events called The Collective. It's 12 events in 3 days. 4 for each day. Starting today, we have 4 shows. They're going to be broadcast on Fight TV. You can get the bundle for that. Basically, you can watch it anywhere, but hold on, let me pull it up real quick on my phone. That way you guys can get a better idea. Okay, okay, so here's the shows for that for the GCW Collective. On April 8th, which already started around noon, it's already 3:09 here. There's Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F. At 4 p.m., the Acid Cup Day 1. 8 p.m., Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 6. That one will have Jon Moxley versus Josh Barnett. For the Culture, that begins at 11:59 p.m., which is going to be midnight soon. Following day, we have Alley Cat's Real Hot Girl Shit. 4 p.m., the Acid Cup Day 2. 8 p.m., we got Joey Janela's Spring Break 5, which is now our Spring Break by RSP. And then at 11:59 p.m., we got Violence X Suffering. On the 10th of April, we got around 11 a.m., Effie's Big Gay Brunch. 3 p.m., Planet Death. 7 p.m., The Unsanctioned Pro. And 11:59 p.m., No Peace Underground. So, these are pretty much what's going to happen for GCW. But also, if you guys must know, if you guys are fans of Stardom, on April 10th, they will begin for the Cinderella tournament. It's just like similar to the G1, you know, their point-based system. It's already been announced. They just had their press conference on April 4th. They already announced who's going to participate. Let me see if I can pull that up. Who will be participating? Here's who they are. We got Mayu Iwatani, Starlight Kid, Saya Ida, Kokigen Death, Utami Hayashida, Momo Watanabe, Ozami, Saya Kanami, Julia Suri, Maika Himeka, Natsupoi, Natsuko Tora, Konomi, Saki Kashima, Tam Nakano, Mina Shirakawa, Unagi Sayaka. Recently, we were supposed to have Bea Priestley, but she's replaced by Ruka, who is one of the reserves. So that's pretty much it. Now, speaking of Bea Priestley, it's already been aware that she is now left Japan. She is reporting straight to the Performance Center. WWE has signed her. She probably will be there now. I know some of you guys say she could have gone with AEW back, but WWE got to her first. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. So I'll be on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang!